make sure I record this.
Okay, let me just check.
Okay.
Should I check Facebook?
Yeah, you can. I think it is being live streamed, but I'll just, I think I may have to change the settings to friends again, rather to public, sorry. Okay, let me just change. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And we're live. Yeah. Namaste and welcome everyone. Sorry for starting late. There was some technical issues that we had to deal with, but yeah, I think it's all sorted now. So welcome to the Vedas Simplified part 5. And there was we had to leave a gap in between. There were, due to personal reasons, unfortunately, one of my buas passed away, Poonam was. So out of respect, I thought that we should give a gap, and upon Alka's request, and in accordance with tradition, and also as a dedication to Poonam Bua, who passed away, I'd like to sing this bhajan called Bhagwan Meri Naiya, quite a traditional bhajan, and music composed by my music guruji, Pandit Vishnu Prakash. भगवान मेरी नैया उस पार लगा देना, भगवान मेरी नैया उस पार लगा देना, अब तक तो निभाया है, अब तक तो निभाया है, आगे भी निभा देना, भगवान मेरी नैया उस पार लगा देना। दल बल के साथ माया घेरे जो मुझको आकर, दल बल के साथ माया घेरे जो मुझको आकर, तो देखते न रहना, तो देखते न रहना, झट आके बचा लेना, भगवान मेरी नैया उस पार लगा देना। संभव है झंझटों में मैं तुमको भूल जाऊं, संभव है झंझटों में मैं तुमको भूल जाऊं, पर नाथ कहीं तुम भी, पर नाथ कहीं तुम भी मुझको न भुला देना, भगवान मेरी नैया उस पार लगा देना। तुम देव मैं पुजारी, तुम इष्ट मैं उपासक, तुम देव मैं पुजारी, तुम इष्ट मैं उपासक, ये बात अगर सच है, ये बात अगर सच है, सच करके दिखा देना भगवान, मेरी नैया उस पार लगा देना। अब तक तो निभाया है, अब तक तो निभाया है, आगे भी निभा देना भगवान, मेरी नैया उस पार लगा देना।
Wow, Uttara. Oh my God, such an emotional and touching song.
Yeah,
Wow.
thank you.
Your voice is amazing.
Thank you very much, Alka. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah. Sure. Yes, I can see your screen. Yeah, I can see the PowerPoint. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Full screen. Yeah, please go.
Okay. So namaste everyone, and thanks Uttara for taking interest and such a lovely song to begin every time. First of all, I would like to thank all my gurus. Most of them don't know that they are my gurus. I follow them online, but they have been a very great source of inspiration and a great source of knowledge for me. So I thought I would start with something called as a human goal. And stop me whenever if you have any questions in between. So Lakshmi, currently it's only associated with wealth or money, but actually the root word for Lakshmi, it comes from goal, which means the Lakshya, the human Lakshya. What is the human goal? And Vedas say that the human goal is to understand Brahman, the ultimate reality, with the help of Vedas. And to understand Brahman, there are 8 types of Lakshmi that have been informed to us. One is like through spirituality. Second is via material wealth. Third is via agriculture. Fourth is via royalty. Fifth is via knowledge. Six is when we show courage. 7 is by progeny. And 8 is by victory. So these are different routes that one can use, either any one or more than one of these routes that can be used to get to Lakshmi or our Lakshya, the human goal, which is to understand Brahman with the help of Vedas. Should we move ahead, Uttara?
Yes, please continue. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So one would think like why, for example, how come royalty would lead to, the Lakshya? So there is a concept called as like, for example, if a person is born in a royal family, they themselves they have everything. So they can easily detach themselves from, the Maya, and they can ask questions which might help, to understand Vedas and in turn understand Brahman. So, and I would also like to discuss about, because the movie is going on Oppenheimer. He has some of his quotes are really like intriguing. One of it is the access to Vedas is the greatest privilege this century may claim over all other previous centuries. So we need to understand like why exactly he what did he meant by this? Like definitely he has an understanding of the Vedas. He must have got some introduction or have learned or understood the Vedas. So we would see in the future slides, like if why his curiosity in Vedas must have come up with. So Vedas say that the current universe that we live in is a 4-dimensional universe. So if you see in various diagrams that is available, you would see like Brahma having four faces, like four different faces, which means like the current universe that you, me, and all of us are in is four-dimensional. But having said that, there are multiple dimensions available. There is 1, 2, 3. There could be like even a billion dimension, that's infinite dimension. So there are multiple dimensional universes which are happening simultaneously. But then our reality is only of four-dimensional. And due to our karma, we can either go round and round in this four-dimensional world because of our karma, or we could go into, the lower dimensions as well as the higher dimensions. So the reality that we are in at the moment, as per Vedas, is like the four-dimensional. I think in Bhagavatam, there is a story related to this, where our universe Brahma, which is like the four-dimensional universe is Brahma, he comes and visits Sri Krishna when he was the king in that period. And Krishna, the messenger comes and says that at the door we have the four-dimensional Brahma. Shall we let him in? And Krishna then asks, informs him, tell him which dimension he is. So he was like very surprised, like our Brahma, like what does he mean, which dimension? Then he comes into the court and he sees that there are multiple dimensions Brahma already present in his court. There was 3 dimensions, there was like 1, 2, 3, like up till infinite dimension Brahmas were already present in the court. And what happens in each dimension, like for example, now we are in four-dimensional, universe. What happens is each of them have got their own sets of energies, or what we call as devas. So each universe has got their own set of demigods like Varuna, Indra, Mitra, and in total there are 33 koti, which is 33 crores. We say them gods, but then they can be associated with energies or frequencies and those kind of properties. So the 33 number comes from 8 Vasus, 11 Rudras, 12 Adityas, Indra, and Prajapati. So in total, there are 33. So, one of my guru, I think even you follow him, Uttara, now, like KRS, he mentioned something profound. He said that truth is way stranger than fiction. And I think he is right in here, because just imagine, like we don't even know what's happening in our four-dimensional reality, and then there's like 1 to infinite dimensional realities that is happening. I also have here a picture of the five-dimensional Shiva, which or Brahma, I think. He used to have like five. Brahma used to have 5 like 5 heads, or 5-dimensional, but his one of his head was cut off. There are various mythological stories how it got cut off. And if you see Shiva, he's holding one of the mriga, or a deer. That is nothing but the 5th dimension that he's holding. And that is associated with moon as well, which is the human psyche or human mind. So human mind becomes like a very, very important tool if we want to go from 4 dimension to other dimensions as well. Do you have any questions on the dimensions of the universe?
Yes, so that's interesting. So yes, KRS, you're talking about Kapil Raj, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I follow him, and I love, as you know, love learning about his views on astrology, and he's also quite humble and spiritual. I quite like his videos and what he says. So, a question that I had was, you were saying that, of course, I do understand that he had cut off one of Brahma's heads. So the head of the deer is the head of it's that head of the deer which is Mrigshira, isn't it?
Mrigshira, yes.
And so then you're saying that that's connected to the fifth dimension and the moon, so it's to do with the mind, isn't it? So
Yes.
how you'd need to train your mind through meditation in order to access the fifth dimension, is that right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
And just another question I had was, actually, I know this may sound like it's a silly question. I'm sorry if you already have explained it.
No.
Uh,
Ask me as many silly questions as possible.
thank you. Thank you for being so kind. So a question I have is, how is the universe that we're in four-dimensional?
So there's so we can't say how. Like it's like asking why fire is hot, why water is flowing, why
Oh, okay.
cloud is like. So
Yeah.
that's the truth. That's our truth. Is like we are. It's a property.
Oh,
So, for
okay.
example, my Guruji used to mention that if we can't say anything, we just say it's its property. The property of fire is it produces light as well as it's hot.
I
Property
see.
that we are our current universe is property is it's four-dimensional only. It hasn't got more dimensions at all. Like it can only have four dimensions.
Four dimensions.
But
Yeah.
there is like we can develop a higher psyche which is related to mind, and that is where the fifth, because it various mythological stories, they mention that it used to be five-dimensional, but the fifth dimension was cut off, and then that has become the moon.
So that fifth dimension, is that the one that's represented by Mrigshira?
Yes. Yeah. So
That's interesting.
Mrigashira is nothing but Mriga means like a deer,
Yeah.
and Shira is the head. So what happened was the myth, one of the myth, there are many myths, but the most fascinating that I found was like Brahma used to have like five heads, and he created, he's like the creator. So he created a very, very beautiful woman, Saraswati. Yeah, and he got fascinated and he started chasing her because that could have led to an incest. So all the other gods requested Shiva to take care of Brahma so that he doesn't commit any crime. So what happens is Saraswati, she becomes like a deer and starts running, and Brahma, he becomes a deer and follows her. And Shiva is like a hunter and he starts chasing Brahma and he cuts the deer's head. So that is why Mriga is deer and Shira is head. And then because that mind is chanchal, chanchal as in it is never stable. That is the only thing in the entire universe, no matter whatever you do, it is always fickle.
Yes.
Yeah. And that is why if you see Shiva is holding the fickle mind, which is like a deer, and it is like popping like everywhere, and it's like looking for Soma, which is like the truth or the fifth dimension. So that so in every dimension there would be a story of going to the higher dimension. In our four-dimensional world, we want to go to the fifth. If we are in the fifth, we would want to go to the sixth. But that could be reverse engineering, and some of us might go into the reverse dimensions, and then we would have done like a lot of things like to come from other dimensions till fourth, and then there's a lot to go.
It's interesting because I'm just thinking about, there's a book, and I know it's not got to do with the
Vedas.
The Vedas. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I'm getting the words
Yeah.
backwards. So, there's a book called The Laws of the Spirit World. I think it's by, oh goodness, I think the surname is Bhavnagari. I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong. It's a book by this lady who did she says that she did some automatic writing. I think her sons came through some automatic writing, and they told her about what the spirit world is like, and there are 7 different worlds, 7 different realms. And I think, if I remember correctly, I had read that book, and then in that book they said there's a fourth, I think Earth is like the 4th realm or something, or it's
Yes.
and so
Yeah.
that was really interesting, because I know that isn't the big, but I know you said, interestingly, you said the Veda is not limited to India, and it can come in so many different forms. That I think people channel this sort of information in various ways across the world. I think it was a lady who was a Parsi. Can't remember her name. I'll probably I'll confirm the name of the author, and I'll put it out to talk about it later. but it's interesting. It makes me think of that. And also I know in Christianity they talk about the seventh heaven, so it's interesting that these sort of parallels or similarities, that but I know you probably cover more about the dimensions. And just one more
Yeah.
question was that I know you said there were 33 kotis,
Mhm.
deities. So, and I think that's connected with some post you put up earlier about it was to do with the spinal cord, isn't it?
Yes,
Like the
we
different
will get
vertebrae.
to there as well. How
Yeah, that's
33
that's
cookies. Yeah.
interesting. That's really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yep, please carry on. Yeah,
Yeah, just to answer your question, like one of the things like my Guruji, Kripalji Maharaj, Jagat Guru Shri Kripalji Maharaj, he used to mention was like the entire world used to be Vedic. It's not just India. Once
yes.
upon a time, the entire world. So if you see, like there would be knowledge everywhere, and Vedas are knowledge from Shruti, like from hearing. So it's not like it has been only in India, but it has been worldwide. But having
Yeah.
said that, the entire earth is also considered like, a conscious living being, Bhudevi, that's what we call. And the mind is where, the current Americas is, and the heart is where India is. So, so the
Mm.
heart will always produce love. So even if the mind forgets the Veda, what happens is the heart, even in its most distress time, it has the capability of loving. So that is why India is also important to, bring back the Vedas again to the world, so that even the mind understands. So human mind and this mind which is chanchal or fickle, it's the key, and not only in human beings but also in globally in the collective conscious as well.
Yeah, very,
So
very, very interesting. Just one more small
yeah,
question.
yeah,
It's sorry, I don't want to
yeah,
bombard you
yeah,
with
you're
too
gonna
many.
go on.
Yeah. So this it's so fascinating to hear that of course I also personally believe that the earth is a living entity. That for me that makes sense. There were studies showing how plants seem to have consciousness or feelings. As found by I think his name was Jagjit Chandra Bose. Yeah, he had is it Jagdish? Oh goodness, I'm sorry if I'm getting his name wrong here, Mr. Bose. I'll refer to
Yeah,
him as Mr. Bose in case I'm getting his first name wrong.
yeah.
So yeah, he had found that plants have things. And similarly, another scientist in Europe, and again, I'm terrible at remembering names. I'll confirm the name. He also found a similar thing. So yeah, that does make sense. And since trees have networks, you
Yeah.
just I do feel yeah that does make sense that Earth is a living
Yeah,
entity
so
with feelings.
everything has got
Yeah.
consciousness. Yeah.
And a question I have is just it's so interesting you're saying that India is the heart chakra and America is the mind or
Mhm.
yeah
Yeah.
so I'm curious where did you find this information about
So
the different chakras of
there is
the
a study called Vastu Sastra.
Vastas?
So I'm yet to understand fully about it, but if you understand Vastu Sastra, it has got like where everything is. And also, like if you study like Bhagavatam and other, scriptures, what you will understand is West is where, for example, Sri Krishna ruled, and
Yeah.
East is where he was born and he did the Ras Leela. So East is always related with the heart,
Hmm.
where you can love and all that. But when you have to rule, you have to go to the West because that's where the mind is.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
so it is always like West and East, but then the West has to come back to the East if it has to get the love. So it's all connected. It's like you can't like it's like a body part of the same individual. So even for the mind to re-understand something, it has to generate love, which is always from the East, from the Vastu perspective as well.
I
And
yeah.
yes, go on.
No, sorry. I just think that's such a sorry. I don't want to cut you off. I think that's such a beautiful concept because it feels so unifying, and transcendental that it just brings everyone together, rather
Yes,
than the sort of idea of separateness or
yes.
just us
Yeah.
versus them or that's such a beautiful concept. Sorry. Yes, please carry on. Sorry,
No,
finish your
yeah,
sentence.
no,
Sorry.
I'm just to add to what you just mentioned, like love is like most powerful. That's what Vedas say. It has the capability of unifying everyone and everywhere, even if like there is a gap between the mind and the head at any point. the heart still has the capability to have love even in its most distressed time. Like a person, when he's like completely distressed, he or she still has the capability of generating love within them, and that is a very, very powerful feeling, I think. And
Yeah.
even Vedas say that. It's not just me that
Yeah.
thinks that. And
That's yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's no wonder I can't remember who said it, but there are some people who are quite spiritually inclined. They say always choose love, if you have to choose between fear and being right, or fear, choose love, always choose love, they say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
I
keep
think
going.
even in Mahabharata, there is when Sri Krishna, he has left east and he moved to west to rule. And I think Uddhav, he was like a Gyani, and he came and he said that I know everything, I'm knowledgeable. So he makes sure, like Sri Krishna makes sure, like Uddhav goes to the east to understand what love is, because that is more powerful than any knowledge. So
Yeah.
that is where understanding comes from as well. So yeah, so long story short, so the West, like Americas, is like the mind, and if the Vedas in the entire universe has been forgotten because the mind has forgotten, uh, the East will still have the capability. So if you see in India, or in the Saraswati civilization, that sort of region, no matter whatever happens, you will always find saints and sages getting reborn again and again. No matter how much anyone suppresses this knowledge, someone will come up, and that is why we have the most enlightened gurus who would come and travel to the West to enlighten. So that's the concept behind
That-
it.
that's wonderful. And this is covered in the Vastu Shastra like that.
Yeah, also in Vastu Sastra, also in various epics like Mahabharata, where there are various scenarios when after, if you study the entire like lifetime of Sri Krishna, you
Yeah.
would understand how all the Ras Leela, like everything to do with love and mystical love, divine love, happened in the East.
Mm.
Vrindavan and that side, but then he had to went to go to the West, Dwarika, and that is where he rules. So always West is always richer, because that is where you rule. But East is happier because it has got love, and it is happy, even like so even if you see in India, eastern side like Gujarat, that side will be like they are richer comparatively, and but the east is always where they have to come. So if you see Puri Jagannath, which is in the east, there would be a lot of people from Gujarat. They would be traveling to the east, or the temples to gather the love.
That's
So
so
there is an
fascinating.
interconnection between.
That's really fascinating, like the directions. I do admit that this was a question that I used to have in my head. I never asked it because I thought maybe that question would sound so absurd if I asked it. I had it's I'm so glad you said it, because I had this question in my mind for a very long time, for many years. I think subconscious, it was in there in my subconscious, and I wanted to ask it, but then I thought if I ask it open, people think the kind of thing, what kind of weird question, or what kind of prejudice
Not at
they
all
might
a
think that
weird
I'm
question
prejudiced
at
with
all.
that. And then because I thought it's just because even other Eastern cultures, they have
Yes.
similar kind of warmth, I've
Yeah.
noticed.
Yeah.
Although having said that, I know places like Africa, I know people are quite loving as well. I know that there are all sorts of love everywhere,
Yeah.
but in terms, I suppose, maybe, I don't know whether you'd call it energy, or some
Yeah.
sort of overall vibes, yeah, that or certain sort of concepts, the transcendental concepts. It's very interesting what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although having said that, I know, although I was, okay, I know this may sound confusing, but I know, even in America, I know that there were, although I think the indigenous, the natives, I think, were quite loving as well.
Yes.
So then I think, how would you explain how, even though they were in the West and they were pretty loving, how did that kind of
I
become the
mean,
mind?
if the
Or
mind
is
is,
this to do with the progression of the yugs or something?
the thing is, if the mind is full of Vedas or love, even the mind can be full of love as well.
Yeah.
So the mind is very fickle. That's what Vedas say. It's the most fickle thing ever. So it is very, very difficult to control the mind. So it is either the mind could be filled with either love or either hate, right? Vedas also see that there are three things that are eternal. One is Brahman,
Yeah.
the second is Jeev, and third is Maya. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Jiva, if we consider the entire earth as a Jeev or a conscious being, there are only two things that it can think of. One is the Mayic things, Maya, or second is Brahman or Vedic things. So whenever it is inclined to Brahman, that is where the mind is full of love, Yeah, and whenever it is not inclined with Brahman, it is inclined with Maya, which is materialistic things, and that is when there could be confusion, a little bit of hate, and so on as well.
Yeah, I
So,
suppose maybe the Vastu Shastra, maybe it's explaining how maybe in the times of, you can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I feel that maybe what the Vastu Shastra is saying about East and West and East, West being the mind and East being the heart, maybe it's to do with that, how to explain how in the progression of the yugas, and now we're in Kali Yugas, how is it that there's this difference, between the West and East in terms of because I know you were saying that there was once a time when everybody knew the Vedas, everybody had that kind of knowledge, that kind of synchronization between the mind and the heart, that but I guess maybe in Kali Yuga, the differences we're seeing that have emerged maybe maybe explained by what's there in the Vastu Shastra. What do you think of this?
I think what I found fascinating was Vedas have informed us there are 4 yugas, and Kali Yuga will be the lowest, where people will have lowest amount of knowledge or graspability, lowest perceptive ability. So having felt similar, and having known that everything is going as per what Vedas have said, that is the most fascinating thing. That is when you realize, okay, even in the chaos was predicted, and there is also the prediction of something, this yuga ending and then a new yuga starting as well. So even in chaos, you can find that it is all happening within a method. There is method in this madness, and that is what is fascinating.
And I suppose there's I think all over people have become more open, despite whatever chaos there is, and confusion, whatever divisions there. I think a lot of people seem to be more open and waking up to these ideas of love and transcendence, and but I know you probably would cover more of this. So there's hope. There's hope.
There's hope, And basically, love is the biggest energy. That is what Vedas say. In these 33 Koti Devas, even love is one of the energies that they have explained, and that is really, really powerful, and that can change and unite everyone. So let's check. Am I able to? Okay. So there is also a concept called as lokas. One thing that we have to keep in mind is there are different dimensions that is separate. Within each dimension, there are lokas or worlds. I couldn't find an exact word for lokas in English, but when I say worlds, it is lokas. So those lokas is these are the lokas like Satya Loka, Tapa, Jana, and currently we are in Bhur Loka, which is Bhumi. That is where our solar system is as well. And there could be 14 different worlds. So there are, after our loka where we are, there are 6 above, and there are a few up till 8 till 14 below these lokas. And in there, in all these lokas, only light can pass. And that divine light is nothing but Shiva. So when we say Shiva, that is nothing but this light, that divine light. And Shiva is also called as Mahakal. Mahakal, Kal means time, So he's also associated with time. He's also associated with Agni, which is, the fire, and the divine light. So only Shiva, that energy can pass in all these 14 lokas. Yeah. In the current Bhuloka, is like we all have been pushed from this particular black hole, which is like the root. That is what Vedas say. The root is nothing but I forgot the name now. So it's in the Sagittarius nakshatra zodiac, and it is the Mula. I remember now. It's the Mula nakshatra, and it's in the Sagittarius zodiac, and that's where we all have been, pulled to this Bhuloka. Once we all are pulled into this particular loka, Maya, because of Maya, we forget who we are, and we think that our body, our physical body, is the reality. We don't. We forget that there is a subtle realm, and there's also a causal realm, and we all are just going in these 14 different lokas as per our karmas. And there are 84 lakh species that we can take form. It could be so human species is just one species of the 84 lakh, and in this human species there are various 4 lakh human species are mentioned in Vedas as well. We are just one human species at the moment, but then there are 4 lakh human species in total. Yeah. And so in this Bhuloka, this is like the entire like all the constellation, and our solar system only passes through these few zodiac signs, which is called as like the ecliptic. And there is like the supermassive black hole which is present here in Sagittarius, called as Mula Nakshatra. Mula means root, and that is where we all have been pulled into this particular reality. But there is a possibility of traveling to other realities as well. And we could travel using this divine energy or divine light, which is the Shiva. So that energy is called as Shiva. So is that understandable?
Yes, I think so. It's really interesting. I've heard of, Pataloka. It's just interesting to see a layout of the 14 different worlds. So you were saying that divine light can pass through all of these realms, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm curious, and you're saying it's known as Shiva. You know what it's making me think of? And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's making me think of that story when Brahma and Vishnu were having some argument, and then
Yes.
they wanted to see who was which one
Yeah.
of them was supreme, and so then they wanted to find the top or the bottom
Correct.
of the pillar of light, which represented Shiv. And so then, is that pillar of light what you're talking about?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So that
Okay.
is this channel. You see this pillar of light?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's called as Axis Mandai or something like that, where Shiva that Shiva or the divine light, that energy can pass.
Oh, wow.
And even in modern physics, they have come up with concepts of multiple universes.
Yes.
And also the concept of wormhole, where you could pass from one universe to another universe. And this is just recently that modern physics has found out, but Vedas, which are probably like thousands of years old, they have already mentioned all these lokas. They have already mentioned like there could be time travel using this divine light energy.
Oh, so this divine light energy that pillar of light, that we know as Shiv, is that the one that's parallel with the wormhole, or is that different?
No. So the wormhole is like in between these two loka, for example, like Loka and Bhuvar Loka, the divine light could pass. So that portal is the wormhole between these two. The divine light can pass like between all of this and in between us as well.
Yeah.
So we will see how the divine light Shiva is important.
That's really interesting. And I just think of people who've had although I know I need to look more into various stories of people with near-death experiences. I know I've heard of people with near-death experiences who typically see them going towards this dark tunnel and seeing a light at the end of it. And I've heard stories of how accounts of how some people have been in such a beautiful world where they're in this beautiful place where everything is colorful and beautiful, but except it looks more vibrant and colorful, like that they in a way that they can't describe. It's more vibrant and colorful than they would normally see on Earth, but they're not able to describe it articulately. So I'm wondering whether whether people who have near-death experiences, whether maybe their consciousness or their soul kind of travels to
within this channels, which is like these. So what they see is that divine light, and they feel extreme bliss because what happens is once this divine light is activated, or we feel that, we also experience something called as soma inside our body. So that soma is nothing but love. So that is like extreme bliss. So that is what they experience as well. And what's the other question that you're asking for?
Just another question is that I know that people talk about the DMT molecule or the spirit molecule. I wonder whether that's also
So we will see in the further slide how DMT and all these concepts are, interlinked. I know, like you also mentioned about the 7 realms, how 7 is, connected to do these time travel. We will also understand that.
Yeah, although I know here you say there are 14 realms.
And so these are 14 lokas.
14 lokas.
But what is the number 7? So we will see in the future slides what is 7.
Okay, they're looking forward. Yes, sorry, please go ahead. Sorry, I'm not bombarding you too many questions.
So it is clear so far. We live in a 4-dimensional world at the moment. And the 5th dimension was like the head or our psychic ability as well. And there are 14 different lokas. So the Sanskrit word is lokas. And in the current loka, which is our Bhu loka, we have been pulled from this root, which is nothing but the nakshatra Mula. Every nakshatra has got a planet associated to it. So the planet associated with Mula is, can you believe it? What it could be? The graha associated with Mula, because it's a past.
Ketu.
Correct. So the planet associated with Mula is Ketu, and the deity associated with it is Ganesha.
Yes.
Yeah, Ganesha is like the child of Shiva. So this divine light, so a child of that is and also associated with lotus as well. We will see why. So that divine light that we were talking about, and if we consider this as a human being, so that can pass in the middle. So you see, like in here, so this axis is there within us, which is this axis in here.
So it's just like that saying, as above, so below.
Yes. Yeah. So that divine light can be used. And the 7 is nothing but these 7 chakras. So when we activate these 7 chakras, when a human being activates these 7 chakras, the light, the divine light flows, the Shiva flows. And when Shiva flows, automatically Soma is generated, which is associated with DMT.
That's interesting. And also, I know that in both concepts of, the 7 realms and also the 14 different looks, I've noticed that the earth or Bhurloka, where we are, it's in the middle. So, and the middle chakra, that the Anahata, the heart chakra, I know my meditation teacher says that it's like the bridge between the lower and the higher chakras.
Higher chakras, yes. Yeah. So, so the chakra, if you see from here till here, there are 7 chakras. So Anahita, the heart, is the middle. But then if you consider lokas, these are the lokas in here. So currently we are in Bhur loka, but then there are lokas up here, if you see.
Yes.
And below are the other lokas like Atala and Til Patala. So 7 below, and from Bhur loka, the 7 above.
That's really interesting. And I'm curious. I mean, I know that of course they say there are 7 main chakras in the body, but then they also say that there are other minor chakras. So I'm wondering whether
So
the
these are not chakras.
yeah,
So chakras, you're right. Like there are 7 main chakras that
yeah,
we all know, but then
yeah.
there are various other chakras.
These are the
But
chakras.
then these are the important ones. But
Yeah,
then these are the lokas. So above these main chakras,
yeah.
below are all the lokas, and above are the other lokas. So
Okay, so they're not to do with minor chakras, are they?
no,
They're
so they
separate.
are above. There are so the lokas are a different concept, and chakras are different concept. But then they
Okay.
both are united because the divine light in between all these lokas
Yeah,
and human beings, they pass from this channel,
yeah,
and that divine channel is nothing. The divine light
yeah.
is Shiva. The channel is Ida and Pingala and Sushumna. When we so both the left and the right, when they both are activated, what happens is that is associated with Kundalini rising. There is a serpent that is sleeping inside the base chakra, which could be activated, and then it would activate both the left and the right Ida and Pingla, and the energy is channeled through Sushumna. So Sushumna is like the middle channel, and that channel could be used to go to other lokas on the top and the lokas below.
Oh wow. So that's how, people can ask
They
their
can
consciousness
astral
can
travel,
travel.
which is
They can
time
astral
travel
travel.
concept.
Wow.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
that's how they do it. And
Yes.
depending on your state, like you can go to either the lower or the higher ones.
Higher, yes, it depends. Like for
Ah,
example, there is we all know about a person called as Narada Muni. If you
yeah.
see, like he has traveled everywhere. He goes up, down, like whatever, wherever he feels. So what happens is like he has channeled. He's Brahman himself, so that's the different thing. But then, so the if you activate the Sushumna, via activating the Ida and Pingla, which is nothing but the Rahu and Ketu energy, the sleeping coil, which is sleeping in the base, the Muladhara chakra,
Yeah.
which is in the genitals of any human being. But then once that is activated, both the energies, they move like a serpent in here. And then when both are in harmony, the Ida and Pingla, one is associated with the sun energy, the other is associated with the moon energy. When both are activated, what happens is the middle, the Sushumna Nadi, it gets activated. And
Right.
that middle line is the same line in here, which is the Shiva. So the divine light energy. So Shiva is like the divine light which can pass. So once we activate that energy, that Shiva energy within us, it allows us to go to different portals, different lokas. And in the past, what used to happen was to activate that divine light, people used to eat external substances like mushrooms, for example. Some used to eat like lotus, blue lotus, or the water droplets that drop on lotus. There are other, psychedelics that people, our ancients used to eat, and that is associated with DMT or Soma or Vishnu. Yeah, Vishnu is always associated with love. Love is nothing but Soma, and DMT is like the chemical equation of love. That's what you can, the one way of putting it, I think. So that when people used to have that used to activate their Kundalini.
Yeah.
And their Ida and Pingla was, it could raise, and then the Sushumna got activated. And that Sushumna is nothing but the portal to higher lokas as well as the lower lokas.
Yeah, and it's no wonder they say that with the Kundalini awakening, it's better to do it under the guidance of a guru,
Guidance of
so
Guru.
that and to do it slowly rather than too fast. Because if you do it too quickly, or when you're not ready, or if you're not really in the best frame of mind, or
Correct.
emotional state, then you could end up, mistakenly going to
Correct.
some lower realms,
Yes.
without your control, and that
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
So
sense.
what happens is like all these, the chakras, they are in a subtle body.
Mm.
So human Vedas say that human being have got 3 bodies. One is like the physical body that we see and associate it associate ourselves with. But then we have two other bodies which are not visible. One is the subtle and the second is the causal. Subtle body is where is activated while we are dreaming as well. And also these chakras are in the subtle body. It's not visible in the physical realm. But then once these chakras are activated in the subtle body, what happens is higher perception is given. In our current perception, we can only see whatever is happening in the physical realm. We cannot see what is happening in the subtle realm. And if our consciousness is not high, what happens is there is a possibility of us going to say, different lower lokas. Say, for example, if somebody goes to Patala after activating, just imagine the amount of, Rakshas and everyone they would, but then nothing in Vedas is associated with good or bad. There are just different beings. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
all, karma,
when you boil it down, it's to gunas, it's I think that's the nice thing. It's not really actually judgmental, or,
no, not at all,
or dualistic. I think it's more sort of matter of fact and transcendental and compassionate and loving as well. And that's the thing that I do appreciate about it, actually.
Yeah. It's just that we are in Kali Yuga and we were supposed to get in touch with someone called as Asura Kali, and he must have lived in the lower lokas. So there must have been like some of our ancestors, the recent ancestors might have gone wrong with this tantra, and they might not have followed a guru, or I don't know the exact reason, but something has gone wrong, and they have gone to other lokas where they must have got in contact with other energies like the Rakshasas or the Asuras like Kali, and he is activated in Kali Yuga. But having said that, all of this is in line with the chaos is in line with the concept of yugas as well. So that is like the best thing.
I was gonna say yes. Well, I mean, even though it's not something ideal, but I guess it's probably in line with destiny. With destiny, or with what is sort of like the grand design or the higher plan. I know it may not make sense to everybody, but I think for people who've studied it, I mean, I guess when you think about it, we call it like krida or lila, and so then with a good, and I'm not trying to trivialize like negative things or miseries or sorrows, I'm not saying they're not real, but if you were to think about, if you were to step back as an observer and see when you're reading a story or when you're watching a film, like if things were sort of happy all the time, then that doesn't make for a for a good story. Even in school, when we were taught that, oh, a plot has a beginning, middle, and end, and you can't just, there has to be a problem in the plot. There has to, and then there has to be various characters. You can't just, a good story, will not just be happy all the time. And so I don't know, I guess I know I again, I don't want to get scathed, I think, by people are not gonna think I'm trivializing real life sorrows, but it's kind of, when you think of it philosophically, it's I guess it's sort of like kind of trying to give all, you give the good side a chance, and you kind of give the not so good side a chance as well. In the game of life. So I'm sorry, if I do come across as
no, you're absolutely right. Like a little bit of darkness is necessary for anyone, any jiva, to try to understand Brahman or the ultimate reality. And I think that's why a lot of us have deliberately chosen this Kali Yuga to get born in this period, so that we understand Brahman more easily. Like these concepts, like about having three different type of bodies, or all these chakras, or the divine light that was passing in the previous yugas, people used to have to do a lot of tapasya to even understand these concepts. But the beautiful thing about Kali Yuga is, like at least the first 10,000 years of Kali Yuga is, these information will be easily accessible if one, make sure like their psyche is developed, or their consciousness, they try to higher their consciousness. It's easier for them to do in the first 10,000 years of Kali Yuga. And that's why a lot of Rishi Munis, a lot of, devtas, even in the, heavens, they have made sure like they get a birth as a human. And in this Kali Yuga period, especially in the first 10,000, to understand these concepts. But
That's
then,
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry. No, sorry, please carry on. Yeah, and then I'll
But then the only caveat to all of this is once a person is born in this physical reality, Maya gets attached, and we forget why exactly we have chosen this birth. It's only either via good product from the past or some distress in life, or second is like if someone wants to gain profit. And the fourth one was, remind me, Uttara?
oh goodness. Okay, so you said distress, profit. Was it curiosity that you said?
Curiosity, yes.
Yeah,
So if somebody develops curiosity, so
yeah,
these are
curiosity.
only the four categories. When
Yeah.
that happens, then they realize, okay, why I have chosen this current birth. And that is when they deviate their mind and try to understand these knowledge. So.
Ah, interesting. Yeah. I think maybe I'm a combination of curiosity and distress.
Yes, I think it's the case with all of us at the moment.
Yeah.
And another concept, I think you asked about DMT, which is like the substances that our ancestors used
Yeah.
to generate soma, which could automatically, channel all these energies from lower to higher. And that could help them to go into all these lokas. And this substances are currently, I think, 6,000 years back, or when, say, about the time when all the main rivers like Saraswati, they got extinct. That is when there was a climate change. I think that's when these substances might have gone extinct. So a lot of our sages, they came up with different methods, not to depend on any external substance, but they found out that there were various methods that we could use in our human body to channel this energy. So this energy, when it is channeled from, it can be channeled from top to bottom or bottom to top. So when it is from bottom to top, it is via different methods like Kundalini meditation, via Tantra, via other means as well. And when it is from top to bottom, it is from Bhakti tradition, when the energy is channeled from the head to bottom. It is like that is what is called as kripa, or in English it is what is kripa in English? Blessings.
Blessings. Yeah.
Yeah. So when there is
Oh.
blessings from God, this energy travels from head to bottom. When a human being, say for example, is not that blessed, they can channel this energy. They can still channel their energy via different means, via Kundalini awakening or others. So that is where like there are various traditions. The Bhakti tradition, what happens is the energy is channeled from the top to bottom. So that is why if you see like a lot of Bhakti tradition, they would put their hands like this so that they are channeling the energy from top.
That's why when
That's why they do that. Yes.
they raise
The
both.
higher you do, that is where you channel the energy from top to in your body. But then in the other traditions, like we say traditions, but then all of this are aiming at one thing, like just to activate this portal, that divine light, and that light can make us travel to other lokas.
And it's no wonder then that we have things like mudras, like, we have it in the
Yes.
forms of
Yeah.
classical dance, but
Yeah.
it's also witnessed that, people who
Yeah.
undertake yogic practices or
Yeah.
meditation or sadhana, you'd see
Correct.
them using various mudras for perhaps maybe for activating in various ways or clearing blockages. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious with I am sort of familiar with the well, I know that there are various chakra meditations that where people start from the bottom and then go up to the top.
Mhm.
But then with the bhakti tradition, I know there is bhakti yoga, and I know that
Yes.
people do
Yeah.
kirtan, and they just wondering, and please pardon my lack of understanding and
Yeah.
ignorance
Yeah,
here,
sure.
but
Yeah.
then would you be able to give an example maybe of just any example of a bhakti tradition where you kind of typically channel, like, from the
Yes.
to the bottom,
Yeah. So there are various bhakti tradition. Like for example, you bring your favorite deity. Say for example, if somebody prays Jesus, somebody prays like Krishna or any deity, and then you are decorating them. You actually feel like you have this devotion to them as if they are the Brahman. When that develops slowly, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice to get to that stage. It is very, very difficult to get to that stage. But then when that bhakti, I think in the last, Facebook Live, we went through the types of love, which is the one kind of love is like via, going through all the scriptures and the knowledge, like going with the moral code of the scriptures. And the second kind of bhakti is like secretive bhakti, the raganuga bhakti, which is like more at a mystical level. So that is separate, yeah. The bhakti can be generated via various, and then one of the bhakti tradition is associated, there are 64 different type of bhaktis that one can do. So classical dance is one of the kind, classical music is one of the kind. So if you see people, Kripalji Maharaj used to say like one person, they eat poison by knowingly or unknowingly, they die. It's the same with, taking Amrit as well. So a person knows that why they don't know why they are doing classical dance, they don't know why they are doing classical music, but then it develops bhakti in them automatically, because it's like it's automatic. And then once that bhakti or devotion to a higher Brahman is developed, what happens is it's like meditation, and the energy is like activated. So if you see like a lot of people who do well in their careers, they also have a hobby. They say nowadays they call it hobby, but then
Hobbies,
what that is like they have unknowingly they have activated this Shiva, the divine light within them. So unknowingly, like as Maharaji used to say, like unknowingly you eat poison, or knowingly you die. It's similar with the soma or amrit as well. Knowingly or unknowingly you do something, you will still develop. But then once so there is a dance that you do before knowing Vedas, and there's a dance that you do after knowing Vedas, and there is a little bit of difference because you feel that soma automatically in you. Like you would feel like now when you sing and you understand a little bit of Vedas, you will feel the divine bliss again. Like that bhakti will be higher and higher. So that is the sadhana, that is the practice.
So I guess that's why, I guess it's no wonder that people see different art forms as therapeutic. They say drama therapy, dance therapy, art therapy. So it's
nowadays, English has got various interesting words that they associate, like hobby or therapy and so on. But what Vedas say are like there are 64 different variety of bhakti, which will do nothing but they will make sure like the divine light is activated. And soma is activated via 64 methods as well. So soma is important.
Just a quick question, is that these 64 types of bhakti, was that influenced by the 64 types of arts? I think
yes.
That you posted about earlier. That's so interesting. So those 64 types of arts are basically 64 different forms of bhakti.
And there are similarly 64 different kind of tantras as well. So the 64 kind of bhakti, like art via kala or via creativity, it is from the bhakti tradition that you channel the energy from the top into your head. But in the tantra, the 64 different types of tantra that is available, what happens is the energy is channeled from the below to the up. But then both are doing nothing, but this sushumna gets activated, because that is the channel where the light is traveling to all these lokas.
So with bhakti and from channeling from the top, I guess it makes sense, because people who are in the classical, for example, people who are in classical music, people say, how do you compose such beautiful melodies? I mean, you do need to know. It is true that you need to know sur and tal. You do need to know. You do need to learn the rules of different rags. But people who are great composers and musicians, they say, Oh, I felt some sort of inspiration, like when I was
Yes.
on my own, I felt like I channeled something. And people, those who are very humble, they'll say that, oh, it's not me, I'm just a vessel. I just got inspired, like
Yeah.
that it just flowed into me or through
Into.
me,
Yeah.
So then I guess that makes, yeah, no, that does make sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious with the different types of I'm not asking you to go through all 64
Yeah.
types
No,
of
no,
tantra.
not
No,
in
no,
this
I'm not.
slide.
No, no. I'm just curious. Could you give maybe one example of a type of
Yes.
tantra?
We will in the future slides.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry, I don't want to break or
No,
interrupt
no,
your
no.
flow. So please carry
Yeah, I
on.
think
Yeah, yeah.
one of the examples is like I don't know if you have heard of this concept called as Chausit Yogini Temple. Chausit is 64 in Hindi.
Ah,
Yogini is the feminine divine energy,
ah.
and Mandir is temple. Yeah. So 64 Yogini temples.
Oh,
So
wow.
each of the 64 yoginis, 64 feminine types,
Mm,
they tell us 64 different types of tantras that could be performed. And in the 64 yogini temple, you would always find a deity like this.
yeah,
And that is nothing but Shiva Ekapada. So this in the middle is the divine light, which is Shiva.
yeah.
For activating that Shiva, you need Soma, which is Vishnu, and this is Brahma. So once this light and Soma gets merged with each other, universe happens. So
Ah,
you see, like E is equal to mc squared. That is like the relation between energy as well as light.
yeah.
So there is always an association whenever Shiva and Soma, which is matter and light, when they both get associated, you would energy and light, when they both get associated, matter is also formed, which is nothing but the universe.
Yeah.
So this entire Shiva Ekapada, which you will find in all the Chausit Yogini temples, is nothing but that equation, that famous equation that Einstein has given, and most likely it's from the Vedas. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, we definitely know that Oppenheimer had something to say about the weight,
Yeah.
so he
Yeah, we
definitely.
will do the history part in some
Yeah,
later slides.
yeah, that would be very interesting to
Yeah.
look at. Yeah,
But
yeah,
then this is like a beautiful concept. And if you see like Shiva Ekapada, he's also holding the Mrigashira, who is like going
yeah,
everywhere
yeah.
for that Soma. And Vishnu is associated with Soma or love energy. And divine light is Shiva, and the universe is Brahma.
Mm.
And Chausit Yogini Mandir is one of the famous mandir. Most of them are now like extinct, but then this concept is reviving now. And there's one famous temple in Odisha, and there's another temple in near Jabalpur in Madhya Pradesh as well. And if you see the Indian Parliament, the older one now, is based on the architecture of Chausati Yogini Temple. So it is
Oh,
round, and if you see like all the architecture, all the ancient architecture, they would be of similar variety. They would be circular in nature. They would have 64 different pillars, and there would be obviously outside India, it's difficult to find the exact deity, but then there would be some similarity. But the concept is the
oh,
same, like
wow.
64 different methods.
So you're saying that even outside India, there are buildings with similar structures?
Yes, one of them is in famous one is Globeki Tepe, I think. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It was found in Turkey, and it is more than 10,000 year old.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is
and
that still there?
people never thought there was civilization. Everybody thought that they were hunter-gatherers before 6,000, but then they found this in Turkey, and this temple was deliberately, put under sand. And if you see like the structure from the above, you would see like similarities like Chausati Yogini Mandir. And
Wow.
I don't know if you have read in the book Soma by Major General G.D. Bakshi, you will see.
I've read some of it. I need to
Yeah.
finish the book, but yes,
Yeah.
I am finding it really
So
fascinating. Yes.
near those temples, even in Göbekli Tepe, they have found soma substances that like DMT substances
Wow,
were
really?
made and used.
So the
and the
temple is,
rituals.
so
Yeah.
that temple is still there then in Turkey?
Oh yeah, it has been excavated recently, but
Oh,
then when they carbon dated to find the age of that temple,
yeah.
it was like more than 10,000 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so having said that, like so you got about Shiva, which is who is the divine light or the divine energy. He's also associated with Kal Agni. Kal is time, Agni is like light or fire as well, and also Mahakal, who is like unlimited, because he is like he can go to all these lokas and he can flow within us by the help of Soma. So there is also a concept called as Harihara. I haven't put the picture here, but if you Google them, if Harihara, what it is like a dimorphic pair of Shiva and Vishnu. So half Shiva, which is half this divine light, and half Soma, which is Vishnu. And both of them are required to create life or the Brahmand or universe, who is Brahma. So all these are connected. Yeah. And the seven chakras are connected, and how we can astral travel using this divine light. And there are two methods, one from the top, which is the Bhakti tradition, and one from the below, which is like the, the Tantra or Kundalini meditation, that sort of traditions. And all of them are 64 varieties, 64 variety of Tantra, 64 varieties of Bhakti as well. And the only thing is like nowadays Tantra has been associated with sex and all that, but then that is because for that the Muladhara needs to be activated, and mostly it is in the genitals. So what used to happen in previous generation is like while people were getting married, it was recommended to find the same spiritual partner, so that they would it would be easier for the couple to both of them to generate the kundalini energy. So that is why it has been associated with that.
Ah,
But some sort of negativity has been associated, but then we have to understand where the exact concepts is coming from. Yeah. And in Kali Yuga, it is mentioned that the only bhakti will work. But then because we are transitioning from from the age of Pisces to age of Aquarius, there could be like an overlap. So it's important to understand these Vedic concepts as well. Do you have any questions, or can we go ahead?
Yeah, so overlap, do you mean overlap between use of Tantra and Bhakti and
Bhakti,
stuff?
yeah. So there could be practitioners who would be practicing that as
I
well as Bhakti. So there could be overlap.
Okay, so then in the age of Aquarius, then would it be purely Bhakti, like
So age of Pisces is where when humanity started looking at this, like because these substances got extinct.
yeah.
So people started looking. So Pisces is associated with the deity who is Pushan, who is the deity of traveling.
Ah,
So
yes,
people
yes.
started traveling everywhere, like looking madly, like for knowledge to get this Soma somehow. So a lot of people have come to the East to understand, because Soma is nothing but love, and love, where do you find love? In the East. So a lot of people from the West have actually traveled. If you see, there were a lot of universities in ancient India, and a lot of people from the West used to come to India to gather this knowledge of love, and they used to take it back. So age of Pisces is, there was a lot of travel. Even during the colonization period, you would see like there is a lot of travel. So the concept of travel is always there in age of
Yeah.
Pisces,
And
because they are looking for Soma. Yeah.
yeah,
Age of Aquarius is different. Aquarius is the man who is pouring something which is very it has got a nakshatra called Shatabishak, which is like the 1,000 healers or the 100 healers. So
yeah.
it's a very, very healing nakshatra as well. So age of Aquarius will be I know. So people will know Vedas. So only people who would know Vedas would be able to transition from age of Pisces to age of Aquarius.
Oh, is that what they mean by ascension? You
Yes,
know?
yeah.
Ah,
So age of Aquarius will be I know, like everyone will know Vedas eventually. So
interesting.
that is the
Ah,
concept.
I see. And so then in Age of Aquarius would then so then, but only bhakti then will work? I'm just wondering.
Even
Would be
if in
mixed.
these ages, we might still be in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, it is said that bhakti will be like the easiest way
Yeah.
to understand something. But having said that, the methods are there. Like it depends on ourselves or a jiva to take any method. You take a method from top to bottom or bottom to top. The
Okay.
ultimate
There's
aim is ascension or going. Yeah,
okay. So there's no right or wrong way.
there is no right or wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Ah,
Yeah,
that's very
but
interesting.
bhakti will
And
be easier in
yeah,
Kali
of
Yuga.
course.
Yeah.
Yes. And this the I know you said the deity of Pisces is Pushan and Aquarius.
So Aquarius is different. So Pushan is like Revati,
Revati, yes.
which falls in, because we are in transitioning. So Revati is like the Gandhanta, which is like at the end.
Ah, yes.
So that is why. But I think Aquarius has got various nakshatras. One of them I know is Shatabishak for sure. I think there is Mula as well. I have to double. No, Mula is in Sagittarius.
This is interesting.
Do you remember which
Oh
nakshatra
goodness.
are there?
So it's Shaktabhisha, and I think there's
Shatabishak is
Dhanishta.
definitely Dhanishta. Okay,
Dhanishta.
yeah.
And is it a little bit of Shravan as well? I'm just trying.
I
But
think there is a little bit of Shravan as well. So that
yeah,
is why a lot of people will start hearing. And
yeah,
then Shatabishak is when they start
yeah,
healing, and Dhanishta is when they will get rich.
yeah.
So it
Yeah.
will go in that order, you see.
Ah,
But then
interesting.
the entire time humanity will be in the age of Aquarius. The concept will be I know. In age
Mm,
of Pisces, they would be traveling here and there to understand Vedas. In Pisces, I think Venus is exalted and Mercury is debilitated.
yeah,
So Mercury is related to communication, also trade. So
yeah.
if you see in this age, there was a lot of trades that happened, and they used Mercury in Tantra to do black magic as well. So we'll come to that later. The
Ah,
concept of Mercury, using Mercury,
ah,
and all the leaders were chosen based on capability of their speaking ability. But as per Veda, there should be other abilities that a leader should have rather
oh
than
yes.
just speaking, which
Oh
is
yes.
only
Oh, we know that.
Mercury. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So just one last question and then I'll I don't want to break your flow.
No,
So
no, no, God. Yeah.
so in terms of, I know we talk about transition from age of Pisces to age of Aquarius. So by transit, is this to do with uh is it about certain like can you explain a little bit about this transit maybe for someone who doesn't understand how is it that we're transiting, how these ages move? Is it to do with like what exactly is transiting? So
So transiting, I don't know how to explain.
oh, don't
But
worry. Sorry, I don't want to put you on the
no,
spot
no,
or
no, no.
anything.
So transiting, as in there are various, even within the yugas, there are sandhis, there are, various other points. So how do I explain? So for example, you have like a scale, for example, like which is 10 centimeters, and you are now transiting from 1 centimeter to second centimeter. Yeah. So it's like transit. I don't know if I'm explaining this right. But this transit is nothing but it's also dependent on outer planets, which is Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune.
Yeah.
And they also sidereally, they were not calculated because Rahu and Ketu were enough for calculating this in the sidereal side of astrology. But in the Western astrology, they use the outer planets.
Yeah.
And if you see, like for example, US has got the Pluto return at the moment.
Mhm.
Pluto takes like, so transit is nothing but how many years a planet takes to come to the same point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pluto takes about, say, 239 or some, I don't remember the exact years, but it takes some years to the longest period to come back to the same, period. And Pluto is associated with Shiva,
Mhm.
or the energy of destruction.
Yeah.
So if you see, if you go back 200 something years back, that is when America was built or America started. The first president happened that time. And the Pluto has returned to the same point. Yeah. So that is one kind of transit. But then this transition, which is transiting from age of Pisces to age of Aquarius, it's like a bigger point that we are talking about. Like we are considering all the planets who have gone through all the cycles, and they are in the exact term again. So the fractal is exactly the same 6,000 years back.
Wow.
So like that.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because everything is based on the concept of fractals, and there's a little bit of mathematics that we need to understand, and I'm yet to understand because this is like heavy maths, yeah. So
I'm saying like like, oh, can we borrow it? Like,
but to explain something like really in simple terms, it's like a fractal is nothing but you see up in the sky, and it's the exact screenshot of the sky after how many years.
Yeah.
So that is like the fractal will repeat. So you see, I don't know if I have a diagram of fractal now or not, but then you would see like the same pattern will repeat again and again, but that is like the transit.
If only we could get, the channel Parasha.
Yeah, I think we need like a really high perceptive ability, or really creative to make everything appear simple as well.
Sorry. Thank you, Ilka. Please go on.
Okay, and time travel is the same concept. Once that the Sushumna Nari, the channel is activated, what happens is that it gives an ability for going up and down, and also being beyond time as well. So there is this person called as Kark Bhushundi. He was like a sage, and Kark is literally means crow. So he was a sage who could become crow and human as well. So that is why his name was Kark Bhushundi. So what is said is like he was the real time traveler. So he got a boon, and he was gifted to stand outside time. And he has seen nature cycle repeat itself again and again. So he has seen Ramayana being played many times and Mahabharata being played many times with slightly different results. And why is this slightly different results? Because you see like the role of free will. Prarabdha is definitely happening, but then there is also a concept of free will, which is agami or agami karma, or the karma which is yet to happen. So that will give like different results based on the free will. But he has seen the same events happening again and again. Just imagine like you are living the current life again and again and again.
Oh God!
Number of times.
My head would explode.
No, it would have exploded if you remembered. But
if I remember.
Only good thing is because of the Shiva energy that is why making destroying our past memories, and then we only remember the current. But then the only other thing is Maya gets associated, and then we forget why exactly we have come. And past memory is also pictorial, which is associated with Chitra Gupta. And Chitra is picture, Gupta is secret. So it's like a secret picture, which is there in your DNA. And you remember from it, it is easier to remember your past ones, even if you want it. So, yeah.
So, sorry, I know this is a bit of a cheeky kind of question, but so I know that he saw the Mahabharata and Ramayana play with different results, and you were saying slightly different. So then, I know, of course, there's prarabdha and then there's free will. So then, by different in this universe, would it be only very slightly different results, and then or would there, and perhaps maybe if we take multiverse theory, maybe in other universes there'd be very different results? So
well, because the fractal is the same, and it is very, very, very rare that people will do something using their free will.
Okay.
It would take a lot of kriya, or a lot of mindfulness for everyone to collectively do something higher, you see. That is why the rotation in the same yuga. So if collectively the consciousness is really higher and they are using free will, that means the result will be drastically different.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is, like, very few people will use that free will. The
Yeah.
product keeps on repeating, the fractal keeps on repeating again and again.
What the true, that's good to be mindful. It's like, use your free will, everyone. It's like
Yeah.
they're trying to become. Yeah. Sorry, I know I was being quite cheeky there.
No. I think there are multiple possibilities. So that
Yeah.
is what it says. And the
Yeah.
outcome that we choose is based on where our mind is.
Yeah.
And we are creating our own reality. So whatever we see is what we are creating for ourselves. So my reality that I'm creating is different than your reality that you are creating, because it's based on the mind, and also the graphic, the Chitra Gupta. The Chit means your consciousness. Chitra means your consciousness is creating some images, and Gupta is secretive. There is some mystical things that is happening, and this picture is creating your reality. Yeah, and it is also coming from past, because Chitragupta is associated with Ketu. Ketu is your past.
Yeah.
So if you see, once a person starts to understand the Vedic astrology, they would know, like, where their Ketu is, like that's where their past, focus was, and where the Rahu is, that's where the focus wasn't there. So in this life, they are obsessed about those kind of things. But then if they are put into the area of Ketu, they can easily do it because they have that knowledge from their past births. So that is the concept.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I know we're not exactly going into multiple dimensions yet, but I think of uh, doppelgangers or doubles, where people sometimes see their doubles, or people say they've seen a person's
Yeah.
double, and there's this story about a man from Torrid or something. You might have heard that story. That would be interesting to see, the explanations for those sort of things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the followers, he asked me a very interesting question, like, if it's a multiverse, like, multiple times we are doing same things again and again in multiple verses, and in one of the dimensions, like, we have got moksha. Does that mean all of us have got moksha, or is
Yeah.
it just one?
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
when it gets confusing, and that
That's
is
a
when you
question that
get
I would want to ask as well.
that is when you get deeper into Vedas. But then let's keep this simple now.
Sorry. Sorry, I'll try to
I'm like,
control myself.
I asked the question before you ask.
You know it.
So yeah. Okay, so brain is very important. Our mind, or our antakarna, that we discussed in our previous slides. It's very important to understand something. And the sushumna is where our spinal cord is. Yeah. And nadi is like the nerves. And Vedas say that there are 33 nerves in the spinal cord. So currently, in this current science, medical science has found 31. And there are probably two more which are in the subtle body. Subtle body is not seen. It's subtle. It's not in the physical body. So 31 plus 2, which is 33 different nadis. And these nadis have to be activated, and they get activated via the different 64 methods of bhakti, or 64 different types of the tantra, or there previously our ancestors used to eat substances like the DMTs, or psychedelic substances, which were available, so that these 33 nadis got activated. And each nari is again associated with the devas, we can't call them god, but then the Vedic term is devatas. And this 33 koti could be 8 again. 33 comes from this 8 vasus, 11 rudras, 12 aditya, 1 indra, and 1 prajapati. Yeah, so all these nerves are associated with these gods or devatas. And like Indra is like is mentioned in Vedas quite a lot, and Indra has got higher perception. He has got 100 eyes. Varuna, who is I think he's one of the Adityas, he has got 1,000 eyes. Yeah. So he has got higher perspective. So in Varuna, So for every Karan, there is a Karta. For every Karta, there is a Karan. So in a very, very higher realm, in the causal realm, Varuna became Indra, and Indra again became us. So all of these devas are present inside us. So as above, so below. And when we activate all of this, there is a pituitary gland inside the head, inside the brain, which gets activated, and that's where you see that light. You know, where in the near-death experience, they see that light, that channel. You see that even while you are like living and not dying. If someone can activate these 33 different nerves, which are in the spinal cord. And these 33 nerves have got the Ida and Pingala around them as well. So just imagine this is Ida and Pingala. Ida like is associated with moon, Pingala with the sun, and they are the points where they merge are nothing but the chakras. And these are the nerves in here, in the spinal cord, where the Sushumna is. So they are all connected. And we had also learned in the previous slides about how each chakra can be blocked, like first chakra by fear, second by guilt, shame, and so on. So yeah, so that's the concept. So that's the concept of as above, so below. And all of these are in the subtle body, like the naris are in the subtle body. These nerves are, the other 31 are in the current physical body. And the 3 bodies and the 5 koshas, there is a diagram here. And it is also associated with karma as well. So yeah, do you have any questions, Sutra?
Wow, I was mind blown when you said that these 33 these 33 energies can be activated by the 64, and I was like, oh whoa,
Yeah.
so yeah, a question I have is, would these 64 types of bhakti or tantratan, are each of them, do each or two of, would they have like an association with
Yes. Yeah.
with any particular
No, not particular. All of them will activate everything.
So
Yeah.
all of them will activate anything. So
Well,
say
yeah.
for example with classical dance or classical music,
Yeah.
whatever you do, whichever one of
Yeah.
those you do, either of them or any of the other
Any of the
62
other,
would
anyone.
activate all these.
Yeah.
These.
These are all
Wow,
just different methods.
wow.
Like
So
64 type of bhaktis or 64 types of tantra or any other methods like the psychedelics. These are just the methods to activate
so
things.
I see. So each one of those or any one of those could activate all of these.
All of these, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And once that is activated, then your Sahasranam, which is like the crown chakra, it gets activated as well.
Wow.
And you get higher perception to go either based on your consciousness, you can either go above or below.
I
And
see.
that's why a guru is also required.
Yeah.
So that is why even for classical dance or classical music or
Oh yeah,
anything,
you need a guru.
you need a
Yes.
guru. You can't,
Yeah.
but then even that guru needs to understand Vedas.
Oh.
But what has happened in Kali Yuga is because of history or whatever, Vedic knowledge has been suppressed or not known or
Yes.
for whatever reason. So that is where, the Kali Asura can,
Yeah.
interfere even within
Yeah.
these
I guess
64
then when
varieties.
I guess then to resolve that,
Mhm.
a good way to resolve it is to use your discernment to find a guru, even if they may not know Vedic knowledge.
Mhm.
They sort of have that kind of inclination or that kind of nature
Yes.
that is
Yeah.
so basically if they have a loving nature,
Nature. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, and their intentions are good, and
Yeah.
they're clear-hearted, and
Yeah.
then like I know when I think of my dance guru, like Gatha Guru Priyaji, she's
Yeah.
she's got that very
Yeah.
pure,
Very motherly and
she's very motherly,
pure energy. Yeah.
very, very pure. She's so pure,
Yeah.
and so then, I feel drawn to, and even my music guruji as well, Prakashji, he
Yeah.
he also has that kind of good intentions.
Yeah,
He's very
I,
well
I
intentioned.
remember we did one for SACF, and I think one of them, I think it was your Sanskrit teacher who said that Vedas are going in India, do something, and he got
I
like angry, and he said Vedas can never go from India. It is
Oh yeah, yeah,
always there.
Prakash. Yeah,
And
Mr.
I was like,
David Scholar.
oh,
Yeah, Mr. David.
definitely a Cancer ascendant.
Oh, you think Prakash may be a Cancer ascendant?
Could be. Even your Guruji could be.
Oh
Because
yeah, it
they're
wouldn't
very, very,
it would not surprise me if Priyaji's a Cancer ascendant. She's born in July. Well, I know being born in July doesn't guarantee you're a Cancer
no.
ascendant, but she definitely does come across the Cancer
Yeah,
ascendant. Well,
yeah.
who
Or
knows?
planets in Cancer for sure.
Maybe Prakash Ji is a Cancer ascendant. I don't know. That would be very interesting if he is as well. Yeah, he's also quite emotional. Goodness, wouldn't that be interesting? Well, if they're all
Yeah,
Cancer ascendants,
I
I'm like,
think
wow, I've got a lot of Cancer energy among my group. Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, that's a nice
yeah,
thing,
it's a good
Like,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess that's one. Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have any questions, or shall we move forward?
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, like when that energy channel from your Mooladhara from top, below to top or top to bottom, that is activated either via Bhakti or Tantra or any methods or via DMT. What it does is your Sahasranam gets activated, which is like the topmost chakra, the crown chakra. And it is said to be like a lotus of 1,000 petals. So this is the diagram. If you see like 1,000 petals getting activated,
Yeah.
and that channels everything. And it has got like two feet here. One is feminine and one is masculine in nature. But then what they represent is like one is Devi energy, one is Shiva energy as well. And they are, so this is like a diagram or a representation of what one feels when that love, that divine bliss, very, very few people on earth have experienced. It is like the bliss that Brahman has. So the amount of happiness that we experience is very, very, very low. The type of happiness that Brahman experiences, it's like really high. Yeah. And it is called as lotus of 1,000 petals. If you see, like it is associated with petals. And it is nothing but, if you see in the brain, there are different chambers, if you see. Yeah. So it could be like each chamber would be like one petal in the brain and it gets activated. And there is a pituitary gland which generates DMT, which is, the soma. So soma is the key to generate that light. So that is how soma and Shakti, like Shiva, the Harihara concept comes in as well. And so here is Varuna. I think we discussed in the previous slides. He has got 1,000 eyes, which is like higher perception. This is Indra, who is another deity who has been multiple times quoted in the Vedas. He has got 100 eyes. So 1,000 eyes Varuna, 100 eyes Indra. It only means that they have higher perceptive ability. So once your Sahasranam gets activated, you have higher perception. You would start understanding Vedas like that. No books, nothing. You just understand it. Because you channel that energy, that Shiva energy, and you would just understand, Vedas, and whatever is happening, you would understand. Even if you are not able to tell or explain to anyone, you would still, activate. And another concept is Vedas say that anyone who has knowledge of Brahman is a Brahmin. So nowadays the concept of Brahman has changed a little bit, like it is like more to do with the birth. But Veda says like, no, it's not from birth. It is like the one jiske paas gyan hai, he is a Brahman.
Yes.
So
Yes.
gyan of Brahman, which is the ultimate reality, is a Brahman. So even in that knowledgeable person, there are 4 different categories. One is the person who has the knowledge. He is like the lowest level. The one level above is like one who has the knowledge and also understands it. is the second level. And the higher than that is one who has the knowledge, understands it, but also is able to explain it to others. It's the higher category. And the highest category is the one who has the knowledge, who understands it, who is able to explain it to others, and also has an ability to develop bhakti or devotion. So that is like the highest category.
That makes so
So
much sense. Yeah.
that is the concept of Vedas. Yeah.
No, it really does make sense, because even when you look at human behavior, how you may have knowledge, and of anything, and then you may not necessarily understand the deeper meaning of it. And then, of course, you have people who would have knowledge of any subject and then they'd understand it. Then you have people who have knowledge of a subject and understand it deeply and they can explain it.
Yeah.
But then, I guess in terms of bhakti, when in terms of maybe it's kind of like being able to bridge, have a bridge between ideals and your everyday behavior, and then it's kind of, I mean, it may not be exactly the same as bhakti, but it's kind of, that kind of spirit with which you do things in everyday life. And then of course, the highest level is having the knowledge, the depth of understanding of it, being able to explain it, and having that bhakti or that kind of spirit, that kind of soul. So, or being able to apply that knowledge into everyday practice, or to yourself. That really makes so much sense. I mean, of course, I know that it's very easy to say, but then I guess as human beings, we all have that kind of everyday kind of it's every day's like a test, like of whether we can reach that highest level, and it's constant practice and mindfulness, that helps us. That's a beautiful concept. So thank you. And also it's wonderful that you've mentioned that he who knows Brahman is a Brahmin, so it's clearing up that kind of misunderstanding, or that kind of distortion, where people started to associate the idea of a Brahmin being more with birth, but actually no, that's not the original idea. That no, it's got nothing to do with that. It's to do with just your knowledge, your understanding. Anybody could
anyone could
anyone can. It's got nothing to do with your birth, or where you come from, whatever demographic you're from. So that's absolutely beautiful that you've mentioned that. So thank you. No, please go on.
Okay. So the 64 colors. So there is like different, if we go via arts or creativity, there are 64 different types of colors which are used. One is like, as you know, the singing, musical instruments, dancing, theaters, like those who do plays. If you do painting, if you see like a lot of people, if they are doing painting, their mind is so focused. It's like meditation for them. See, and also like there are various categories, like offering or preparing offerings from rice and flowers, covering a bed with flowers. Even that's a color. Having making jewels from from scratch. Playing music in water. Even that is splashing with water is also like there, and also like making a nice bed. Even that is also one of the methods. Carpentry, metallurgy, mining, medicine, medical treatment, even cleaning a person with perfumes, like aromatherapy. That is what we call nowadays. Combing the hair, like making different types of hairstyles. Even that is like one of the colors. Using talking with fingers, you can there are different hand gestures. Even that is like one of the colors. Using understanding yantras, having conversation, like the one that we are having. Even that is a form of kala. and also knowing specific gambling, there is no right and wrong here. That's what we need to understand. And playing with a dice or magnet, even that is so there are various, gaining victory is also like, for getting victory you have to do so much of strategic analysis and so much of planning. Even all of that is making your mind channeled, or your chakras getting activated as well. This is one form of dance, Indian classical dance called Odissi, and this is like a painting of Indian classical instrument being played. And so these are 64 different varieties of art. There were also 64 various kind of psychedelics in the past. One of them is it looked like red mushrooms, which was also in the Siberia, in the colder regions, also available in the Himalayan region as well. I think most likely these are extinct at the moment, and so that is why our sages found 64 different other methods. So 64 different types of bhakti, which is associated with 64 different type of arts or creativity. And there are other various, tantric traditions as well. One of them is in, I think, Mahayana Tantrism. They tell that. Also, a lot of Tantra is also associated with Sri Vidya, which is the Vidya of Sri Lalita Sundari, who is also associated with goddess Aditi or Lajja Gauri. If you see who is Aditi? Aditi is nothing but the personification of Soma. Oops. Soma or DMT or infinity. So that is why there is a concept of knowing more about these goddesses as well. And Sri Vidya is a study in itself. All these, so there are different, you see these triangles in here. Each triangle is associated with a yogini, and there would be 64 different kind of yogini, and they are associated with some kind of emotion as well. So it's like a very, very in-depth study. But having said that, all of these yantras, all of these arts, all of them will have something called as bindu. You see? So when you focus on that bindu, on the center, that is when your mind is meditating and you activate those chakras.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go on.
I know that this is going back to one of our previous talks, but it reminds me of when you were talking about the bindu being, that's kind of an equivalent to a brigu bindu or something.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess for your own self, maybe if you were to know your chart or something, you'd wherever your brigu bindu is, that would be the center point of all the fractals or yantras of all of the different types of charts. And that would probably be for each individual. Maybe the key for focusing on a bindu is focusing on wherever their brigu bindu is in their main, at least in their main birth chart, and then the rest would follow. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Like, for example, if a brigu bindu is in Revati, and Revati is associated with Veena, music that Shiva plays. So it is associated with music, heavily associated. So that is where, when a person focuses on, they get all the chakras get activated. So that is the concept. So it is not a coincidence that someone is into singing with that brigu bindu. So you would, when you study all these charts and you understand the brigu bindu of different people, where which nakshatra it is in, which house it is in, and if they are doing that sort of things, that is when the chakras get activated. So you can, so that is where understanding product helps to, it's like a boat. I think that's what Varamina said. It's like a boat that will take you from in your journey. The song that you were playing, Mujhe Nadiya ke paar kara, so the meaning. So that boat will take you from this end to that end only when you understand Vedas and the concept of Vedic astrology. So. And So one of the very, so as I said, like East is like the heart, and the heart produces a lot of saints. One of the saints was Abhinav Gupta. He was born in the year 1950 to 116. And he did a wonderful work, because we have, as a civilization, we have lost a lot of written documents because of various factors, like burning off our libraries and so on. But then some of the works have been safeguarded. Some of the works of Abhinav Gupta. Abhinav means Abhi, means new. Nav is new. So new ways of, Gupta is secretive. So new ways of secretive experiences is what his name means, Abhinav Gupta. Yeah, he was from Kashmir, and what he did was, you see this 64 different types of tantra, 64 different types of bhakti, the channeling from the various methods of either bottom to top or top to bottom to channel activate the Sushumna Nari. He collated everything, all the knowledge, and he wrote about them.
Wow.
Yeah. So his works are amazing. He wrote about Kaula tradition. It's like a tantric tradition that requires like another, session altogether. So his works are amazing. So he's from Kashmir, and he was born in the year of 950. And in previous yugas or previously, what used to happen is like there used to be yoginis or people or very highly spiritual people, because all these chakras, if you go via tantric route, would require activation of Mula chakra, because that is like the base, and that would require certain different methods. So there were like women who were highly spiritual, and they were also sometimes called as duti. The duty, he is a woman who helps the seeker to get into that trance, or using either psychedelic medicine or divine meditation or different methods. So there used to be these powerful women who used to help the other person to develop or help in tantra and other methods as well. And one of his guru's wife, actually, his guru was Sambhu Natha. His wife acted as duty to initiate him in for one of the methods, one of the tantric methods as well. And these highly spiritual ladies used to be also called as Devdasis. So they used to be in the temple, and they were highly spiritual. They had all the knowledge of Vedas and all the knowledge of how to initiate a person. So if, say, for example, a person is married to a wife who is not that spiritual, but then if you want to get into that, then they used to come to these Devdasis, and then they used to initiate them. So this was a concept for a very, very long time. But then after colonization, it went into negativity. By that, what I meant was like we need to understand what the events that happened in colonization. At least the first 100 years of colonization, all the Englishmen who came, ladies didn't used to come. So what they used to do is they changed this Devdasi tradition into Nach women who used to dance for them. And then they used to fall in love with these women. And so what used to happen is, if you see, like, there were a lot of offspring, there are a lot of love stories that has happened between, Western men and Indian women who were converted to Nach women from Devdasis. And I think East India Company didn't like it. So after about approximately 100 years, the next 100 years, they started sending women from the West to East. And then they used to, keep so that they don't, the Western men didn't have interaction with the Eastern men. So this is how, the entire concept of Duti, the concept of Devdasis, that got, extinct. And during colonization, they were forcibly changed into, Nach women and so on. And so that is why there is some negativity associated with dancing or for some period of time, but then it revived again. But then the entire situation has changed, and nobody understood Vedas much to understand these concepts. Do you have any questions?
No, that's just thank you for covering this period of history. I did know of the Devadasis because I know that my mother has done research in this area, but this is really so interesting to know, to know more about this Abhinav Gupta and and the deeper, the more ancient sort of history and their purpose. This is so interesting. So I did not know that about these women who would help the seekers enter these trances. That's wonderful that that these women they played these positive roles. So you're saying, so just to check my understanding, you're saying that these Devadasis, I know that Devadasis, I did know that they were devotees, they belonged to temples, or they were considered as married to deities. So you're saying that some of these Devadasis were dutis as well, and that
Yes.
they
Yeah. They were
wow.
highly spiritual people. They used to help the other seekers to enter into trance using various methods, 64 types of tantra and
Ah,
various methods they used to, because Vedas say that every person is different. No two people are can be similar. So
yeah,
the methods is different. So if you
yeah,
are a person who would use art or color to activate your chakras, but somebody who is not that artistic, for them the route is different.
oh,
If, for example, a person has got more lust
yeah,
or other things which are nowadays connoted as negative qualities, even for them there are routes to
yeah.
activate these chakras, and so that that Shiva energies goes up and down as well.
Yeah, wow, that really is amazing to know. It's great to know this that there are roots for everyone, and also just about this history. It's just so fascinating, and it's so nice to know that women in the ancient past, they had a lot of that they had they had this sort of these important roles to play, that it wasn't always in every case, a case of women being you know oppressed, or just
Yeah,
relegated to the kitchen, another thing. It's just
yeah.
it's really nice that these it's just really so nice to know. um and
I mean,
yeah,
women from India used to be really, really powerful
yes,
because they
yeah,
were Vedic, and they used to be very, very powerful. Even now, maybe they are. But then during colonization, the fake news was like, because women are suppressed in the East, that is why we are going. So that was one of
yeah,
the fake news. But having said that, women in the West at the same point of time were suppressed equally or more than that. You
yeah.
would be amazed at how many Indian women actually fought in England so that women in English women could vote for themselves or stand up for themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
So there is a stream of media that we listen to, but then the reality is what we have to research on our
Yes,
own.
absolutely. And there are all sorts of, varieties, like,
Yeah.
across the regions, like, there's matriarchy, like in the South, that's just one example, the examples of women knowing martial arts down there in the South, like, oh God, I can't pronounce the name, Kalaria Pattu. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, but yeah, that's just so amazing. And I did hear that there was a time when there were even female pundits or female priests
Yeah,
in India as
till
well.
very like these dutis were like not pandits, but then they were female yoginis, or there are various types of women that are there in the Vedas. We will go through them like in some later you know
Yeah,
Facebook Live, but yoginis or dakinis, or there is pisachis. There are different varieties of women that are represented in Vedas, and Duti or yogini. They are highly highly spiritual and very they communicate in a spiritual realm. They communicate in in a metaphysical level. The Raganuga Bhakti, the Bhakti that is for people who are highly spiritual, that is where they operate. But if and the first kind of bhakti, which is like first kind of love, which is based on just for a person who's not that spiritual but then still wants to understand Brahman, for them going via the route of Vedas or the scriptures, it's advisable. For very, very highly spiritual person like a sage or someone, for them Raganuga Bhakti, or the love of the kind which is more to do with the metaphysical or a spiritual level is important. And that's where these dutis or these devdasis used to come into play. And India had so many powerful women who used to understand like these Vedas, and they used to help a lot of other people to elevate their consciousness. So the concept is like for every Atma, there is a Paramatma. For every Karak, there is a Karan, right? So for Jivatma, there is a Paramatma. For Paramatma, also there is a Atma. Paramatma's Atma is feminine in nature. Yeah. So for in a female body, in a female human body, it's easier to get associated to Paramatma. But if a male body, there is always an ego, an extra layer of ego. So that is why male will always require a female to understand Paramatma.
Ah, that's really interesting.
And that is why these dutis or these devdasis came into picture, because they had high level of intelligence and high level of spirituality to make the other person realize or understand or make their kundalini awaken. So there are like various concepts, and so there are various methods, as we discussed, like 64 different kind of kalas and probably 64 different kind of tantras and other psychedelics as well. So there are various methods to just channel that Shiva or the light energy within us and develop love or the Soma energy within us.
Oh, that's really is. Thank you. I mean, it's what you were saying about the Paramatma being feminine in nature. That's just so interesting. I did not know that, and I wonder whether it's similar to this concept of yin and yang. That yang is the more masculine kind of active energy, whereas the yin energy is the more receptive kind of energy, is feminine, and being able to be. I wonder whether there's some connection with that kind of concept. And it's again, it's just really just so amazing to know that there were these these women who were able to help these sadhus or these sages through the Raganuga Bhakti that you were mentioning. It's just it sort of makes me think of how in other cultures, maybe I think in the ancient Greek cultures there were these oracles, or in some cases there were women who were able to
initiate the other person,
or give messages or give predictions, and and these medicine women, or these wise women, like in the what they called wise women in the West as well. That's just so interesting.
And there is like a lot of history that we need to understand here as well, because a lot of women were falsely accused of being witches, even in West, in Britain and England, and that caused a lot of chaos, because when women are suppressed, be it in any civilization, what happens is it creates chaos everywhere. So I think it's all karmic in nature. So
please go ahead.
Okay. And so there is also a concept of karma, akarma, and vikarma. Karma is like we know various kinds of karma that is there. Akarma is like when we are only experiencing product, but our mind is always in God. So what happens then is like it is not positive or negative karma. It is a state of akarma. So do you understand the concept?
Akarma. So okay, so is that basically like similar to karma yoga, like just doing
no, so karma is like when people so karma concept is like it could be sanchit karma, results of all infinite births. Prarabdha, which is like just a subset of all the karma, and then Kriyaman, which is the new karma that is performed, and Agami, which is the karma that is yet to be performed.
Yeah.
So this is like different type of karmas that we discussed.
Yeah.
Akarma is a concept when we are doing everything that is like our mind is continuously in God.
Yeah.
But then we are still doing our daily activities. We are still experiencing product, which is karma from, or the results of the past birth. But our mind is constantly in God. What
Yeah.
happens in that state is like there is no new karma is being performed. So that won't be calculated as plus or minus. You know that balance sheet that we were talking about of karma?
Yes. So, oh goodness, I'm echoing. Sorry. What I meant to ask was, is it kind of like this, what I meant by karma yogi is when you're being like a karma yogi, when it's like that verse of the Bhagavad Gita, karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phale heturbhu ma te sangustva karmani. So it's that, like, it's when you're performing your actions and your duties or whatever, but you're dedicating them all to the divine, or your or whatever you believe in.
Your mind is
You do,
always in God and you have
yeah,
surrendered. So you're
yeah,
just experiencing product, but this karma, like so karma is whatever your mind is doing, right? So
yeah,
if your mind is always in God, you're just experiencing the product, but no new karma. So this Kriyaman and Agami are not getting performed.
yeah,
So
yeah,
what happens birth after birth is no all plus minus of past births gets like finished. So you
yeah,
have no positive, no negative. Then the jiva's frequency is equivalent to Brahman frequency.
zero,
And
yeah.
zero, yeah, and that is like the nothingness, the
Nothingness, yeah.
concept of nothingness, where they experience the equal amount of bliss that Brahman has. And it's a very, very difficult stage to
Yeah,
gather.
it's
Yeah.
is that I guess it's similar to what the Tao or the Tao, like the
Yes.
concepts of,
Yeah.
having nothingness, or
Nothingness.
Buddhahood, or
Yes.
attaining nirvana, having that state of, that I think that it's similar to that, isn't it? That
Yes.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That zeroness is like important. That nothingness is very important to achieve, and it's a very difficult thing to achieve.
hard to do,
Very
yes.
hard to achieve because
Yeah,
it
it
will
would
take
probably,
like
no wonder you need to go through so many rebirths and
so many rebirths, and you
to,
have to
to
remember
achieve
as
it.
well. The thing
Yeah,
is, you have to like once a rebirth happens, the Maya gets affected. Just imagine we took like about 20 years or 30 years to understand Vedas.
yes.
And if it
And there's
takes
still
the
so
same
much to
amount in
learn
all the
from
births,
just
then
at the
you
beginning, so.
so this is like every birth after birth, you just experience product, but your mind is constantly in God.
Yeah,
So that is a very, very difficult state to achieve. But it's a very beautiful state. So that is a karma concept. Vikarma is like you are doing something, but you're not doing it for Vedas. So, for example, you saw like atomic bomb was made, but then it is like the concept, like how to make it, is all mentioned in the shastras. But then when somebody is not aligning that with the Vedas, and then they are doing something out of the natural cycle. It is vikarma. They're not. It's like against the scriptural directions. So that is what
okay.
it means.
Something that you really shouldn't really be doing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So Vedas say who is atheist. The person, the explanation of atheist is like one who doesn't follow Vedas, and yeah, atheist is like one who doesn't believe in God, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Atheists
yeah.
don't believe in
So
God.
so one who doesn't understand Vedas is an atheist automatically.
Yeah.
No matter if, even if you think you believe in God, if you don't understand Vedas, it's an atheist. And
Uh,
one who understands Vedas is the opposite. I don't know what the word for it.
I know they say there's theists are people who believe
Theistic.
in
Yeah,
God or the
yeah,
spirit, the
yeah,
atheist, and then you have the agnostics.
yeah.
As agnostics say that they're not sure whether they believe or disbelieve.
Yeah, even that is
Undecided.
Vikarma. Like,
Oh,
no, not sure is okay, but understanding Vedas and not understanding Vedas is like
yeah,
different.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, although I know that I know it's probably my Tula Lucknow or Libra rising. I think, oh, as long as you're a good person,
yeah,
and that,
yeah,
doesn't matter if you're an atheist, that if you're a good person and you're as long as you're not harming anybody else or imposing on other people,
absolutely.
then it's okay. It's like, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting though. Yeah, Vikarma, like I suppose with Oppenheimer having studied the Vedas um and if he did use that knowledge, which he probably did, I mean you say it's in the Shastras, so then yeah, that is a Vikarma. Although it seems I think people say I think he felt some guilt afterwards for the
Oh yeah,
destruction that it
yeah.
caused.
He did. I think
Yeah.
there is a history that we all need to understand, and for that, higher perception is required.
Yeah.
And if he was even forced, or even he knew what,
Yeah, who knows?
yeah,
Yeah,
who
who knows
knows?
what the history is? We don't
Yeah,
know. So,
yeah,
not passing judgment on him was
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah,
was a very knowledgeable person. He was a
yeah.
researcher, I think, because he knew a lot of Vedas, but how it was used, and that concept of Bindu, like
Brigubin.
whoever controls your knowledge is the ruler.
Oh gosh, yeah. Whoever controls the
Yeah.
Brigubindu or the Bindu, that yeah, very
Yeah, so that
interesting.
the concept of bindu comes in collective consciousness. So
Yeah,
there could be like a lot of where is this? So you see this diagram, like in here, just imagine there is every country, yeah,
yeah,
in all these triangles, but
yeah.
whoever is controlling all these triangles is the ruler, is the ultimate ruler.
Ah,
Every triangle is having their own rulers, but then whoever is controlling the bindu, which is the center, is
yeah.
controlling like all of them together.
Ah, yes, yeah.
So that's the concept. So we
Interesting.
don't know exactly what happens. So it's
Yeah,
not good
interesting
to,
concept. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And also the karma concept is like this is karmic, like it also the Rahu and Ketu, which is the obsession and detachment. They keep us in this fractal, in this concept.
yeah, yeah,
And Ketu is associated with past, and Dhuma Ketu, which is the comet.
yeah.
So Dhumaketu means comet in English. And if you see, there is a word called Ketu in here.
Yeah.
Dhuma is like cloud, or so the comets, if you see, they have cloud behind them. So this is like whenever there is an important Dhumaketu in the sky, that means a from past life, some pictorial impression, some karmic past is coming to your current collective humanity.
Interesting. Oh.
Yeah. So if you see, like, I don't know how much of English history, like there was a Halley's Comet,
Yes, it's
which
coming.
happened, I think, in the year 1000, when William the Conqueror, he, I think, started ruling. That
Yeah.
is when it was seen, and it was like a very, very important comet. And yeah, even that comet has got like transition. So every, I don't know exact years, every number of years, it is seen in the sky again. So what it means is it's bringing some karmic results from the past to
Oh,
yourself. Yeah.
interesting.
And because the entire world used to be Vedic at one point of time, if you see, like, there are studies in, even in China, when they have actually drew like different kinds of comets. So now we see all the comets, it appears like one similar kind, yeah. So, but then they have actually seen the comets, and they have actually differentiated. Like, so one of the comets have got four, arms. One has got 3 or 4 arms. One looks like a deer. So there are different comets, and even Carl Sagan. Yeah, you would love his series. He has done various documentaries on universes. He explains, he wrote one of his books, and he mentioned this book of silk from Han Dynasty, which is about 2000 years old. As
Oh.
early as 2000 years BCE, people actually knew about this concept, or probably before that as well. And one thing we have to understand is the concept of swastika. Obviously, now it is like in negative terms after, the fake news of Aryan invasion theory and the fake news of that resulted in, World War II and so on. But then previously, it used to be associated with good luck, and it used to be associated with goddess Aditi, which is for Soma. And it used to be associated, Aditi's son is Mitra, and we had seen how Mitra is related. Varuna and Mitra, how they are related. The concept of children of Mitras, the concept of sky in the nakshatra Anuradha, the higher perception. So all of these are linked together. Yeah. And this symbol was also associated with like 4 horses of the god Mitra as well.
I see. That's really interesting.
Yeah. And even in, if you go to, Devi pujas, they still have various symbols like for goddess Aditi. But nowadays, very, very few people know or pray goddess Aditi or goddess Laja Gauri. But in their mind, the impressions are still there. So they, use those symbol of good luck, and it was used for like thousands of years. Only recently it has been negatively associated after the misinformation of Aryan invasion theory, which should definitely be corrected someday.
Yes.
And yeah, so I haven't put a full picture because it might not look good, but you can Google for Lajja Gauri. And she also is seen as Fibonacci sequence, because in Vedas, there is a pattern like Daksha sprang from Aditi and Aditi from Daksha. Daksha is like the father of Aditi, but then this verse means like it is showing like a fractal, because fractal, it keeps on repeating and repeating. Yeah. So it is like an eternal cyclic rebirth of the same divine essence and divine wisdom. So, and she is like a personification of infinity, and she was the mother of group of celestial deities like the Adityas and so on. And in the previous slides, we saw like how even during the Harappan or Mohenjo-daro and the Saraswati civilization, we saw like Aditi is giving birth to a Mitra, and how Mitra was associated in now if you go and research, you would find like everywhere in the world, Mitra was prayed in some form or another. And Aditi is like, she was always shown like this, giving birth to a baby, which is Mitra. And if you see like, I don't know how, but if you see, this is like a swastika, which was like a symbol of her. So it is like that and that. So that is how these symbols or swastika appeared slowly. So there is like a fascinating study how these symbols got evolved and forgotten in cultures as well.
Oh, I see. So you're saying that the symbol of the swastika is developed from that picture in the bottom right corner?
Yeah. So it's all related. So slowly, like Aditi got associated with these pictures, and like swastika as well. And if you see, like this symbol was not only in Saraswati civilization. Everywhere in the world, you would find that.
Wow.
Even in Europe, even till today, if you go to certain churches, you will find. I forgot the name. Just check once. I think they are called as. So there is a deity, a feminine deity, which is who is giving birth. Even she is present.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's very fascinating how there are similarities like everywhere
interesting.
in the world.
Yeah.
So, okay, I can't find. Okay, yeah. Her name was Europe, and even in Britain, you will find Sheila Nagik.
Sheila.
Sheila, Sheela,
Yeah.
N-A, space, Sheila Nagik.
Gig.
So just
Sorry, how's gig spelled?
Gig.
Gig.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
So Sheela, Sheila,
Mhm.
and space, then Na is N-A, and then
Yeah,
space, gig is Gig, yeah.
I
If
see.
you Google that, you would see like a female who is giving birth. So she is nothing but Aditi. And we have
Wow.
seen like Mitra or matriarchic societies, and also Mitriayam, which is like the son of Aditi,
Yeah.
who was prayed everywhere, like in this world. So there is like a very, very ancient past that we all are forgetting. Uh,
Oh,
and these symbols have slowly, even if you see the cross and pasha, all of them have got some, they have developed, because we are talking about thousands of years of evolution, right? So
yeah.
these symbols have taken different forms, and recently it has been associated with negativity after the misinformation of Aryan invasion theory, which should be
Oh, and the whole events of
the
World
whole,
War
yeah,
Two.
yeah,
Yes, yes, yeah.
yeah, which is quite sad. But then I think
Yes,
it
of
should be
course.
corrected, and
Yes. Yeah.
I think we had where is yeah, I think we discussed about how Varuna and Mitra,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, we
and
did.
their children were like
Yeah.
Vashishta and Agastya,
Yes.
and how Vashishta's son was Parashara and Parashara's son was Vedvyas,
Yeah.
and how we have astrology related to Parashara, and Vedvyas had, he is associated with writing epics and Vedas as well himself.
Yeah.
And similarly, the same concept of Mitras, which is child of Mitra,
Mm.
is found everywhere. And you see, like, even in Europe and Western countries, you will see association with astrology as well.
Yes.
Similarly, Agastya, who is the other son.
Mm.
So both of them, remember, they were born out of Mitra and Varuna when they saw Urvashi.
Yes.
They both were formed. And so this was the Vasishta line, and the Agastya line is like, even Agastya has written a lot of interesting books on medical astrology, and it is called as Nari astrology, Nari
Nice.
Jyotishya.
Yes.
Nari is nothing but the palm leaves. So all these were written originally in palm leaves, but during colonization, British took like a lot of these Nari leaves with them. They've auctioned them, and some of them they destroyed for some reason.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, some of them are stolen. So, but then Agastya is like very, very important. So we have got some, in Western museums, you would find statues of Agastya as well.
Curious. It's curious to see how they, on one hand, they wanted to say that we were superstitious backward people, and yet they auctioned off some of the nari leaves, and destroyed some of them.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I
You
think it
would.
was Eve Mendoza ji who mentioned a very a very funny thing. Like she mentioned, like those who were writing on clay tablets were considered, ancient, or but then those who killed so many trees to build papers, they are considered modern.
Yeah,
So
indeed, indeed.
that's that's the kind of stupid world that Kali Yoga has developed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So whatever is like, it's a lot of things are hidden, and it's just that we have to revive. And there's a lot of initially, and even in India, if you see like the while like being raised, that nobody knew that much, and it took like a either a guru or someone to, and even when you start reading, like there is a lot of what do you call, hesitance to know these systems, because somehow there is a history behind everything that we need to understand as well. But once you get
Um,
into this, you will
yeah,
know like how deep they are
yeah.
going. Yeah.
So no nari leaves are left. They're all
Oh,
gone.
no, no. Some of them are definitely left because, like a lot of astrologers are now, they are researching on how Nari Jyotish is working. And
Oh,
I
okay.
think even in Orissa, there are a lot of Nari families.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was I forgot his name. I think his name was Stuart. He was called as more Hindu than English during the
Oh,
Union period. I don't have a picture of him,
oh,
but
what's
then
his name? Oh, what's his
I
name?
think his name is Stuart. He was
Oh,
funnily
Stuart.
Stuart,
Yeah.
and he was funnily called as more Hindu than English.
Oh,
Because
wow.
what happened was initially he came as a colonizer. He collected all these information. He collected all these artifacts. He read all the Vedas, and slowly it changed his mind. He became like so fascinated with Vedas that he
Wow.
shut himself, and then he used to just analyze all these Vedas. And unfortunately, when he died, somehow all the things that he collected came to British Museum. So
Isn't that interesting?
yeah,
Wow.
it is like if you
Interesting.
follow that line, like how the entire concept happened, it is like fascinating how exactly this could even happen. So
Interesting. Very
he
interesting.
actually was also posted in Orissa, and at that point of time, he captured a lot of artifacts from Orissa, like from the Konark temple. He captured like the 12 grahas.
Yeah.
And now, if you go to British Museum, I think they have now put it at the end because there were a lot of protests, I think, to
Ah,
give them back. But then you would see like, oh, they are so fast. Like the carvings are like it's like as if they are real.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Really fascinating. Yeah.
So that's Agastya. This is just a recap of all the three bodies and different karmas that we have. This is the Fibonacci sequence and how Fibonacci sequence and I'm sure like we'll go with the vortex concept in the next slide. But then this is like the concepts and the fractals, how the Fibonacci sequence and fractals are everywhere in the Vedas, and they are associated with Vedas, and they are like our ancients knew from like really like many thousand years, and even people, women's carvings have been found in Saraswati civilization with all these either lotus or mushrooms,
Yeah.
which were used as psychedelics as well. And we also had discussed about the zodiac and the nakshatras, and we discussed about the Vedic deities and how there is a continuity or there is similarities everywhere in uh, in Europe and Western world and Eastern world as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, no, thank you. Thank you so much. There's just one last question I have.
yes,
How
yeah.
many nari leaves were there supposed to be? Do you know?
I wouldn't know the exact number, but definitely there is medical astrology as well.
Yeah.
So I'm yet to understand about Agastya
Yeah.
because his works are fascinating. And if you see, like Agastya was said to be born out of IVF.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
you
very
see, like
interesting.
his features are very different, and he also might have spent a lot of time either in South India and also in Cambodia, that sort of region as well. So
Interesting.
even in so this stone carving was from Cambodia, stolen from Cambodia. This was from South India. So, and the other child, I think Vashishta, you would find Vashishta head, which was found in Saraswati civilization, I think, which was like when they carbon dated that, that was more than 5,000 years old. Vashishta head.
Mm.
So so we need to understand like how Mitras or Mitrayam are related, how when everyone was saying yugas, like how all the yugas of Matsya Avatar, there is a continuity that we see. And Rahu Ketu appeared after Kurma Avatar.
Yeah.
So before that, probably it was a five-dimensional world, but then again, it became four-dimensional. So that is like a fascinating study and requires some deeper analysis. And
Yes.
yeah, it's that's what I wanted to share. Do you have any other questions?
No, not really. I mean, it's just so fascinating and so enjoyable as always to talk with you. And I mean, I suppose with devtas or I know another word for them is deities, I think, in case
Deities,
people,
yeah.
yeah, I know in case people get confused and they think, oh, you believe in so many gods. I'm like, no, we don't believe in so many gods. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
we do essentially believe in one, one like
No, the
the
thing
big
is
God
like
Brahman.
because our ancient, before 6,000 years old, they used to eat, I think, a lot of psychedelics for soma.
Yeah.
And once you eat that, what happens is you have visions of multiple deities. And
Yeah, you
that's why
have vision.
multiple deity worship was there. But then once the climate change happened and everyone focused on other means like
Yeah,
tantra or kalas, but
yeah,
then everyone became from many to one.
yeah,
Is the
yeah,
confusion that we are having, that
yeah,
everyone, even if you study Egypt civilization, you would see like the older civilization had so many kings, so many deities and so on.
yeah,
But
that's true.
still, I think Middle Kingdom and the recent kingdom, they followed like just one. So you would see like after 6,000 years, like there is like there was some confusions gradually happening, and then
Yeah.
because this is the concept, like the soma is like the key to understand this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just so interesting. The knowledge that you have, the research you've done, and what you understand,
Thank you.
it really just gives a whole new, a whole new
Perspective, I think.
perspective. So, and as always, that I've thoroughly enjoyed and been so fascinated by this talk. It really has been so informative. And so thank you so much,
Thanks,
Alka, for
Sudra.
giving your
Thank you
time and
for
yeah,
having this
yeah, yeah.
for all your interest. I think it's it's a product. It's a good product.
Ah, thank you. Yeah. Funny that my nakshatra, my moon is
Oh
in
yeah,
Mithila, so,
everything happens for a reason.
and yeah, and in the eighth house as well. So it's kind of like representing that duality between up or down, it's like, oh, but I want to
The deer is
understand.
running.
Yeah. Dushtana and a moksha house, moksha
Oh
path,
yeah.
it's like this. Oh, thank you. No, I
Yeah.
really, really am blessed and so lucky to
Thank
be
you, Drat.
associated
Thanks
to
all.
know you and be connected with you. So thank you so much, and really looking forward to the next live. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Namaste. Bye.
Namaste. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.